Welcome to AHA Math and Science. In today's video, let's talk about the price action of Apple. So Apple is currently the largest public company in the world with a market cap of $2.7 trillion. And as close of yesterday, its share price is $173. So, and it's getting really close to all-time high. So this is kind of the interesting question we like to discuss. Is Apple is going to make a all-time high, and then what's next? And you can see like in the past 40 years, Apple has really kind of rewarded its investors very nicely. So from a share price of like 10 cents or even below to now like $173. It's very impressive growth over the past 40 years. And even things like the first quarter of 2016, when Berkshire Hathaway began buying Apple stocks. So it's already kind of a six-fold increase, actually more like eightfold increase from almost like $20-ish to now like $170. So it's actually eightfold increase already, even in just in the past 7 years also. So really, really impressive. So now the question is, it's going to make an all-time high, and then what will happen next? These are the questions we like to actually discuss in this video. So look closely at what has happened in the past 3 years. You can see that it dipped during the pandemic, where its share price kind of dropped from like $80 to 50 something. But actually the bond market is also kind of had like similar drop. And then it quickly rebound, and it kind of seems like a topping off right at here. But this is kind of the low that it reached during the beginning of this year, January 3rd, around January 3rd, January 5th, it has a low of about $125. You can see that it went up quite kind of like fast, going from $125 to $173 now in almost like just 4 months also. And what is really kind of interesting here is you can see that this kind of tops or the kind of local highs, you can see they're kind of moving lower and lower. So these are lower highs, establish some kind of downward trend, but then just kind of in the past 2 weeks also, it kind of the share price kind of like broke out. Now it's just kind of standing above this downward trend line. So this is really kind of an interesting sign, and it says a lot about actually the sort of the strength in this share price. So what will happen next? And we noticed that in actually this kind of breakout from a downward trend happened quite a lot for Apple, and almost is exactly with the same slope for the downward trend. So let's draw this downward trend on this 40-year chart. So this is the current downward trend, and it just kind of broke above this downward trend. And then something like this happened in 2015, exactly same slope, and broke above this downward trend, exactly same slope. I just basically did a copy and paste of this line here. This is during the great financial crisis. And another one in the early 2000s, and that's kind of, it takes several years, but eventually break out. And this one, the current one, is actually pretty, it's actually did not really last that long, because that downward trend is almost like just a little over a year. And then this next one in the early 90s, in the early 90s, it failed to break above the downward trend. And you can see that it made 3 attempts, and then it did not succeed. And even this last one, it did not break above the downward trend. And until later on, it really kind of made a very low here. And then this one, it was able to break above. And then, but after that, you can see it just kind of in this new sort of downward trend, and then started to go down eventually. So what is our current scenario here? Can we use any of these kind of trends here to guide us in the present time? We noticed that before this kind of topping process established, you see that the share price had an explosive growth preceding this downward trend. And the only thing that kind of similar to this is really kind of in the middle 80s, or the late 80s and to the early 90s. So this is really kind of a pattern we can see in that kind of start to kind of play out in the present time. So if you take a look at this pattern versus this pattern, especially look at this pattern closely, this is what happened. It had an explosive growth before the topping process. And during the topping process, you can clearly see this downward trend. And it attempted to kind of break above this downward trend several times until actually, if you count this is the first time, this is almost like maybe twice, right? This is the one attempt, another attempt. So this is the fourth attempt. And this is really the fifth attempt. It did kind of break above this downward trend. And before that happened, actually, it made a new low. And that low is like 18 cents, on October 16, 1990. And then it added actually, first, it kind of get to the trend line, and then it did a second leg up. In the second leg up, the amplitude is similar to this, a little bit small, maybe about 80% of the initial leg up. And then it kind of entered into this new downward trend. And then eventually it made a low much lower than this. And then we think in our current scenario, we might be actually going to see something like this. So here, you can see this clear downward trend. And it had the first leg since January of this year. And the amplitude here is from $125 to about $165 for like $80-ish. And then we suspect that we will be seeing a second leg with the amplitude a little bit smaller, maybe 80% this, and that possibly can bring us to a level about $200 for the share price of Apple. This could happen actually more or less in the same time frame. So this is about 4 months also, maybe another 3-4 months, we're going to get the $200 level. And after that, we suspect it's going to be enter a new sort of like downward trend and maybe consolidate a little bit. And eventually, we believe that it's going to be retest at least this low and possibly for much lower than this. Just kind of like what happened here in this new downward trend. And it takes several years to kind of to play out to establish this new lower low, lower than actually this low here. So if this history is any guide, and based on the pattern analysis, this is something we think it's possible. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and found the information presented here kind of interesting. Again, your support really means a lot to this channel and kind of give me the motivation to produce more videos like this one to share my analysis. So please do not forget to click the like button and also to subscribe to our channel. And thank you very much for watching.